Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Good evening. Yes. You know, as a kid growing up in school, if you were ever to even daydream about being a musician, one of the most appealing aspects that you could think of being paid to play music was that you'd never, ever again have to write another paper or give an oral presentation. But here we are, and I must say I am hugely honored. You know, there are two well-written biographies on R.E.M, and one is 397 pages, and the other is 408. It's difficult to even attempt to scale that down to a few paragraphs, but I will try, as we don't want this to be as long as that Ramon speech I gave a few years ago. R.E.M's music is truly all-encompassing. They've used every color on the palette. They've invented colors on their own. And they've painted this huge mural of music and sound and emotion as big as buildings, and they're still adding to this day. And the story of how they got together could not be written, especially considering this evening, could not be written any more romantic. And that is that Michael Stipe and Peter Buck first meet at a record store where Peter's working, and Wuxtree Records in Athens, Georgia. Their first conversation, their first discussion, was about Patti Smith's first 4 records. Drummer Bill Berry and bassist, etc., Mike Mills, they get to know each other in high school. They play in high school band together. The two pairs of friends meet in college in Athens. 27 years later, they're being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You see how I cut the middle out to make it move along? But there are a couple of things I need to address, and the hardest one being Michael Stipe. And how do you explain the dialogue between Michael and the listener, a dialogue that grew up, and we grew up with it. Such wisdom in the feelings of these songs that I think they helped us find things that we knew were inside us. And I think they helped us find things that we didn't know we had inside us. And I can say that personally, there are things that I hold and feel very deeply about inside here that Michael Stipe put in there himself. What's really incredible about this is that while this is happening, and this all happens without ever being able to understand a fucking thing he was saying. This is the early records. And it's such a beautiful thing, and it's so open to interpretation. All this, you know, I was lucky enough in the summer of 1984 to get to see R.E.M. play live at a small place in Chicago, and I could go on and on because I remember absolutely everything about it. But what I'll say is it changed how I listen to music and what I listen to. Because after that, I just started listening to them exclusively. And at that time, they only had 1.5 records. And I've done the math, so I didn't exaggerate. But this record, Murmur, I must, if it's 44 Murmur. If I take 3 months over that summer of '84 and do the math, and Murmur runs at about 44 minutes, I believe I listened to it 1,260 times. And one of the reasons I was listening so incessantly is I had to know what he was saying. It's so beautiful, you know, with intent and passion, and in Michael's case, unbelievable set of pipes. You know, you're brought into a world of interaction and interpretation. The lyrics have become they get more direct, and now he puts the lyrics inside the records. So you could actually, and he should, because he should be so proud. He's a true poet. He can be direct, he can be completely abstract, he can hit an emotion with pinpoint accuracy, or he can be completely oblique, and it all resonates. That's Michael. Well, that's part of. Yeah. There's so much to Michael. I love him. Peter Buck plays guitar like a guy who worked in a record store. And when I say that, I say that it's not necessarily derivative of all this music that he knows, his guitar playing. He knows this music so well, but it's more of a thing where he plays through the holes and invents things and hits spots that have yet to be covered. And I think thereby pushing the progression of rock and roll. I think of him and his beautiful daughters and what he has contributed, cutting a path for alternative music for bands like Nirvana and Radiohead and forever on after that. From a record store in Athens to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a tremendous journey. Now, if R.E.M. had a secret weapon, I would say it was Mr. Mike Mills. He plays bass, piano, a number of instruments, and is the writer of a genius writer of music. But the secret weapon, I believe, is his voice. It's really not a background vocal. It's almost like a second lead vocal, and I think it really is what makes so many of their songs absolutely haunting. And it's stealth. He's stealth. Or actually, he was stealth till about 14 years ago when he took to wearing these really bright colored suits with massive embroidery and rhinestones, and that's a gutsy move at the time, because this, grunge, this was about the time when grunge was in fashion. So this was. Now, I don't know if you know this story about drummer Bill Berry, but right around that time, the time of the suits, or Mike's suits, Bill Berry has he's playing in Switzerland, and in the middle of a show, an aneurysm bursts in his head, and he almost dies. And I think I read somewhere where it might have been triggered by a strobe light. But I was just thinking about it might have been one of Mike's suits. The orange one, perhaps. So, in all seriousness, Peter Buck has said that if they weren't in Switzerland at the time and they had tremendous doctors, he may not have lived. And Bill recovers after a couple months of intense rehab, and then they do some more. They finish that touring cycle. They make another record. They tour some more. And at that point, I think that the most difficult hurdle they've had to reach was when Bill had to say that he didn't think he could keep playing with them. And he did it. When he did it, he said, "But I need to know that you will continue." And in his own words, he said, "I can't be the schmuck who broke up R.E.M." And so, much to his relief, they've continued on and done incredible things. But I don't know if I should go into this, but I have a theory about Bill and why he couldn't continue. And I don't even think it's I don't think it's the touring. I don't think it was the traveling. I've studied photos of them through the years, and it appears to me the reason Bill couldn't continue was photo shoots. I'll explain. You make a record, you mix a record, you put the artwork out, you plan a tour, and then you do photo shoots. And photo shoots and what happens is they say, Bill, can you just stand in the back now? If you just poke your head up through right between Michael and Peter. That's right. Now if you just lean forward, chin up, please, chin up. All right, now look at my hand, not me, at my hand. All right, now would you be so kind to can you just give me the big eyes? This happens, and I think it made him crazy. I'm just reading into it. Not crazy, but he had to stop. I think if you look in the photos, you can see him glaze, and he's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to go be a fucking farmer. Which he did, and I believe he's lived happily ever after since. And as a fan, it's an incredible, exciting thrill to see him here tonight. In closing, and on a personal note, I'll just say that Peter moved to Seattle a number of years ago, and now they have great musicians from Seattle playing in their band, a great drummer called Bill Rieflin, Ken Stringfellow and Scott McCoy, who's here tonight. Peter's been just a tremendous part of our musical community there, and when he moved there, Seattle music and everything was getting a little out of control, and they really took us all under their wings, and as they have with other musicians like Tom York and people of class, and they became like big brothers, and as survivors, there was a lot they could teach us. They couldn't save us all, though they tried, and how I wish that it were Kurt Cobain who was giving the speech tonight. I'd be so happy to have been the second choice after him. But what I'm saying is, no matter what we can give them back in the form of this honor, we'll never match what they've given to us. And this is not even mentioning social causes and activism, which should not be a postscript. They've taught us a lot about that as well, and inspired us. And so I am truly indebted, and I say that as a representative of so many, and I say thank you from myself and from the huge numbers of people around the world who have been moved by them, and by some strange power invested in me. Right now, I hereby induct R.E.M. into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank Eddie Vedder for not only his extremely kind and thoughtful words, but for his years of music as well. Thank you, Eddie. I'd like to say that we are all extremely humbled and awed and honored by the sheer talent of the musicians and non-musicians here in this room tonight, and beyond that, the talent and the influence and the power of all of those who have come and gone before us. And in keeping with that, I would like to make a couple of personal thank yous to some that are here and some that are not. First, I would like to thank my mother, Adora, for contributing to the DNA. Thank you. And secondly, because I can, I want to thank Bill Berry, Peter Buck, and Michael Stipe for changing my life and making everything I have possible. On the other note, for those that are not here, I want to personally take a moment to thank the older brother that I never had, Mr. Ian Copeland, who passed away this past year, and also my father, Frank, who passed away in 2001. And that's it. With those words, I turn it over to Michael.
We are incredibly honored to be here tonight at the Waldorf Astoria. When we first put the band together, the only thing we really wanted to do was play New York City. And I would say that we've done it tonight, or well, we're about to. The honor of being here is heightened 4 times over by the other inductees this year. We bought, and I still own, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five's record in 1979. Van Halen provided a soundtrack somewhere in the early 80s, I think it was 1984, the Song of a Summer, which is a hard thing to do with the song Jump. The Ronettes, we've been singing their songs as long as I can remember. And of course, Patti Smith. This might seem like a cheap way to get a standing ovation, but I'm going to list a lot of people who are here this evening, and I'd like for you to stand and remain standing until I've finished. I'll start with, who should I start with? I'll start with Buck Williams, Tom Scott, Mark Williams, Jay Boberg and his entire team from the IRS years. Please stand, remain standing. Lenny Waronker and Mo Austin. Don Passman, Greg Harrison, Sue Wildish, Barbara Sharon, Tom Wally and his entire team from the ongoing Warner Brother years. Hidden Joy, 2 of the greatest producers who we're lucky to be able to not only work with, but form lifelong friendships with. Scott Litt and Pat McCarthy, please stand. Jan Winter, Bill Flanagan, John Landau, Leor Cohen, and the rest of the board of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, please stand. Our friends, table 33, our friends without whom we would not be here, please stand. Our families without whom we would not be here, please stand. Our girlfriends and boyfriend, please stand. Judy McGrath, John Sykes, Bill Rohde, Jeff Pollock, Van Toffler, please stand up. Thank you all so much. All right, sit down. On behalf of the band, I'd like to thank our entire office staff, Mercer Brokenbraw and Amy Hairston, and the rest of whom are watching this broadcast live in Athens, Georgia at the Melting Point. Hello. We'd like to thank our touring team, DeWitt Burton, who's celebrating his birthday today, Bob Weber, Bob Whitaker, David Belisle, Susan Stasek, who's in the truck, Jamie Candelora, who's in the truck, and Scott McCoy, who's going to perform with us tonight. And those who are not here tonight except in spirit, Stephen Baker, Jeff Aroff, Russ Thyrett, David Altschul, Martin Sulfan, Miles Copeland, John Huey, Bob Gold, Ed Pearson, Mitch Easter, Don Dixon, Joe Boyd, Don Gaiman, Bill Rieflin, Ken Stringfellow, and finally to the memory and legacy of 2 of our greatest co-conspirators, as Mike said earlier, Ian Copeland and the great Karen Berg. We'd like to thank the fans who have stuck with us for 27 years, the new fans, the old fans worldwide, who have brought us such incredible lives and allowed us to continue with our love of music. I would like to personally thank Peter, Mike, and Bill for providing me the least likely candidate to have a place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with a gang, who not only accepted me at face value in 1979, but allowed a frankly fantastical teenage dream to become an adult and lifetime reality. Thank you, guys. In closing, and I'm sorry for the length of that, but in closing, my My grandmother Stipe, in her last years, told me, she grabbed my arm very hard as she would, and she said, "Do you know what R.E.M. means to me?" She said, "It means remember every moment." And this is a moment that I will never forget. Thank you all so much.
Monopoly 21 checkers and chess. Mr. Fred Blassie in a breakfast mess. Let's play Twister, let's play Risk. I'll see you in heaven if you make the list. So Andy, did you hear about this one? Tell me, are you locked in the paunch? Hey Andy, are you goofing on Elvis? Hey baby, are you having fun? If you believe they put a man on the moon, if you believe there's nothing up his sleeve, then nothing is cool. Newton got beamed by the apple good. Egypt was troubled by the horrible lies. Mr. Charles Darwin had the gall to ask. So Andy, did you hear about this one? Tell me, are you locked in the paunch? Or Andy, are you goofing on Elvis? Hey baby, or are you having fun? If you believe they put a man on the moon, if you believe
Damn, son, where'd you find this?